toss on the mic over. Oh, yes, we are. All right, sorry. I have people talking in my ears. I don't know where they come from. I'm very honored to have the director here from Vampire, Iwai Shunji. And I think we have an interpreter in the theater. I'm here. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. There you are. Okay. Question and answer, and please start asking now. We don't want to have a lull because we don't have too much time before we have to turn over. And we can have additional Q&A out in the theater if we run over a little bit.
Where did you get the idea for the movie?
最初はなんか、よく犯罪者と被害者の物語があると思うんですけど、なんかこう敵対する関係じゃなくてもっとなんかこうそこに不思議な友情とかそういう人間関係があるようなストーリーを最初考えたんですけど。
I'm sure there's a lot of stories out there about like criminals and their victims, and rather than have them kind of work against each other, I first thought of a story that kind of where the criminal and the villain, or the criminal and the victim kind of have this strange bond of friendship.
What inspired you to set the film in America or in English as opposed to Japan? Japanese or usually work?
Well, まずその英語の映画を自分でやってみたいというのがまず一番最初にあったんですけど、あと、この企画自体は日本の映画として最初企画してた時期があったんですけど、最初吸血鬼の話じゃなくて連続殺人犯がこういう自殺者たちと関わり合う話だったんですけど、ちょうど同じ事件が日本で起きてしまって、最初のアイデアは5年ぐらい前にあったんですけど、そういうことがあってちょっと少しお休みして、で、一昨年ぐらいにこの吸血鬼のアイデアを思いついて作り直して、で僕の中では日本で映画を作ることと、日本以外で映画を作るっていう自分の中であんまり境界線がなくて、今度ぜひ中国でとか他の国でまた映画を作りたいなと思ってるんですけど。
I've always wanted to create a movie in English. This story was really conceived first as a Japanese, really intended for it to be a Japanese movie about a serial killer who kind of has, goes after people who are suicidal. But a similar event actually happened in Japan, so the project was kind of put aside for a while. And then about a year and a half ago, started working on it again, and I had the idea of creating a vampire kind of a thing, and we just decided to make it in English. But there's not really a difference between, say, a Japanese movie and an English movie. So I like to try and create movies wherever in other countries as well, not just Japan and America.
Can you talk about that transition of the idea from being a serial killer to specifically the vampire character, and what kind of inspired you to move towards that direction?
So やっぱりできるだけオリジナルの話、ユニークな話を作りたくて、それで実際の殺人犯でもやっぱり僕の話を、彼真似したわけじゃないですけど、同じアイデアを 彼は実際に人を殺したりしたわけですけど、そうすると自分にとってもまだ発表してない作品なんで、それを自分のオリジナルとやっぱり言いづらいふうになっちゃうんで、なんかもっとじゃあ違うアイデアないかっていう、じゃあヴァンパイア社はどうかっていう、葛藤があって、ご承知の方、知ってる方もいるかもしれないですけど、今年なんかこんなことやってたら、実際自分たちがヴァンパイアだって人の血を取るような犯罪があったりとかして、これもじゃあオリジナルかと言われると、実際またやった人がまた出るっていう、僕は犯罪者じゃないんですけど、何かこういつも犯罪者とこうアイディアを競い合ってる変なところがあります。
Well, one of the reasons why we changed it is because when someone actually commits serial killings, even though I might have had the idea for the movie first, it kind of presents itself as if it's not an original idea, as if it's based on the actual event that happened, because the movie wasn't released or announced at all prior to the actual crime. And even after we decided to do something different and make it into a vampire idea, there was actually someone who did something similar in real life. And so there's always kind of this balance between, was this an original idea? It's kind of like we're fighting with criminals to try and get these ideas out first. But it was just kind of one of those things that came up because of actual events, real life events.
You almost make it seem normal, as suicide seems as though it's a normal process, as though people, it's almost beautiful to want to die. Is that a concept that you wanted to get across in the movie?
そうですね、自殺に対する僕のイメージっていうのは、実際に何人か友達が死んでるもんですから、非常に理解に苦しんだ経験もたくさんあって、彼らがしたことにはやっぱり肯定できないんですけど、彼らの生きてきたことは否定できないしっていう。自殺したことで彼らの人生全てが否定されてはいけないと思うし、じゃあ彼らってなぜそれを選んだのかっていうのが本当に、僕は高校時代からずっと考え悩んでたんですけど、どこかで僕らそれをやらない人間にとってやっぱり理解しづらい世界っていうのは多分あるんだろうなっていう気がしていて、で例えば、最後に死ぬんだからせめて綺麗なものを着て死にたいとか、実際日本の文化ではそういうところもあって、最後死ぬ時は綺麗な服を着て死ぬとか、少し儀式的なことをする人もいたりして、そういう部分も、僕の中ではより綺麗に描こうとかなんとかじゃないんですけど、できるだけ客観的にこういうことが起こり得るんじゃないかということを追いかけて表現したんだと思うんですけど。
Speaking from personal experience, I've had a few friends who've committed suicide, and I think it's hard for anyone who who knows people who have. It's really hard to understand why they would have done it. So in the picture, it's not that I was trying to make it seem more beautiful, and I'm definitely not pushing or recommending it in any way. It's just, I think I was trying to create something like an objective third-person view of kind of people who, kind of a view on how people who want to die and why they might, even though you don't know for sure. Also, in Japan, there is kind of a culture associated with suicide. So some people will want to dress nicely when they die. There's a certain ritualistic kind of aspect to it. And I think it's just an expression of that in this film.
One, what camera was this filmed on? So I said Canon, is this a DSLR? And then second, there's a forest in Japan that's famous for people attempting to commit suicide, and I was wondering if the group goes into the forest to commit suicide, if that was familiar with that.
カメラは、キャノン 5D マーク
The camera used for this film was a Canon
5D マーク
5D Mark II.
そうですね、まさに日本には富士山というのがあって、その周り巨大な森があるんですけど、そこが非常に自殺で有名で、あとグループで自殺するというのは、実は日本ではすごいポピュラーなやり方なんですけど、あと日本というのは自殺大国で年間に大体3万人ぐらい死んでるんですよ。だから全然距離の遠い、日本人にとってもそれはすごい自殺者はすごい自分たちとは関係ない遠い人っていうイメージあるんですけど、実際年間で3万人、交通事故で死ぬ人口と同じぐらいの数が死んでいるので、決して目を背けられない問題には日本ではなってます。
And in terms of the forest, there is a forest in Japan around Mount Fuji that is very famous for a famous place that people go to commit suicide. Also, group suicides is also fairly common in Japan. As you may already know, Japan does have a high suicide rate. There are about 30,000 people who commit suicide every year, and that's about the same amount of people who die in car accidents in Japan. So while maybe not everyone knows someone personally who has and may feel that suicide in itself is something distant from their lives, the fact that there is a high suicide rate in Japan is probably telling, and it's kind of a problem in Japan that needs to be addressed.
Last question, and then we'll take more out in the lobby where it'll be more intimate.
I have a question about direction. How specific you were with directing the actors, or how free you were to let them play.
そうですね、基本的に自由にやっていいよと言いつつ、台本があるので、台本のセリフを言ってもらいながら、自由に動いてもらったりしながら、実際僕もカメラ回してたので、回しながら、こっち行けとかあっち行けとか、こすわれとかいうのをつけたりしました。実際カメラで面白かったのは、こんなちっちゃいカメラなんで、タクシーのシーンで運転してる人ともう一人僕真ん中に入ってカメラ2台持って2人の格好で撮影しながらもうちょっとこっちに来てくれとかあっち行ってくれとか近づくと僕の肩が映っちゃうんでもうちょっと離れるとか言いながら撮ってましたけどキャストとキャストの間で僕が座ってカメラを作ってこっちに近づかれると僕が映っちゃうからとか話してちょっと離れるとか。
I basically gave the actors kind of freedom to do kind of what they wanted. I mean, obviously there's a script that they need to follow to a certain extent. And then other than that, since I was actually holding the camera, I would kind of give them, direction kind of as to like move a little to the left, move a little to the right. In the taxi scene, I was actually sitting in between the cast members. So obviously with the cameras pointing in either direction at the cast, so obviously if they didn't move where I needed them to move to, then I would be in the picture too. So I'd have them move a little to the left or to the forward or back based on what was being shown on the camera. But that's about as far as the detail went in terms of
the
カメラで
direction.
ちっちゃいの結構スチールカメラでカメラマンがこうモデルに言いながら撮るのにすごい近い感覚で言い合いながら撮れるのすごい便利です。
So it's kind of like the direction in term was kind of more in terms of a photographer during a model shoot. So you ask them to move while you have the camera in your hand. That was kind of the kind of direction that was given for this film.
So less so, I guess, emotional direction or like how to play a scene, more like
もちろん感情の話も、しますけど、あんまりなんていう役者のその、感情というのは実はアクティングに支えられているので、あんまりこうあなたの役はこういう役だからこういうふうにしましょうみたいな話をいくら約束しても実際に動いてもらったら全然それが表現されないことも多いので、どちらかというとあんまり僕の場合はそういう話をせずに実際やってもらって付け加えていく時をですね、だからシーンの中で役者が、例えば急に泣き出したりとかそういうのが必要なければそれは言わないとかそういう話をしています。それは日本人に対してやってるのと全然変わらないです。
So rather than you could tell an actor that this is what the character is and this is how you should act all you want, but a lot of times you don't get exactly what you want. And the actor has their acting to support them in their character making. So basically, you just kind of let them work on that, and if you want to add stuff, then you can tell them to add things or take away things. For example, if an actor decides to cry in a scene that doesn't need crying, then you tell them don't cry. But other than that, it's kind of left up to the actor, and that's the same. That's kind of that process is the same using Japanese actors as well.
We can take the rest out in the lobby. Sorry, we have 10 minutes to go around.